So, Sister Rita, without any further ado, please come and educate us.
All right. Well, let me begin with, I'm an OBGYN doctor, and how I got into disability was Bill got a position at Intel. So we left North Carolina to come to California. And so I didn't know anybody. And I'm in Sacramento. One of my girlfriends calls me and says, they got a job opening in Stockton. Do you know where Stockton is? I said, no. He says, well, you better go down there. And I went down there and applied. And that's when I found out about disability. And as old as I wasn't aware of where that, it's hard as to believe how disability works. So of course I know how it works now. And I think that more and more people need to know about it because it's there for you. Your money funds this. And so many people have different ideas of what's going on. It's very simple. It's on the web. You can read about it. But that's why I want to just speak briefly about disability. All right.
All right.
And so I have slides where you can interrupt me anytime. We'll get started. Like SSDI is Social Security Disability. All right. And to qualify for this, a disabled person must have a work history. You have to have a work history to get SSDI. Now you've heard of SSI, which is people who are just flat broke, have no money, and the money that the government gives them keeps them off the street so we don't look like Mumbai. So that's different. But SSDI, Social Security Disability, is what you have paid into the system. So whenever you hear someone say entitlements, don't slap them, just correct them. It's earned benefit. It is not an entitlement. That is your money. And I get so angry when they try to poison Social Security as an entitlement. No, you pay into that and you deserve to get back when you need it. That's why it's there.
Thank you.
All right.
Before we go any further, I have a question right off the bat. This
Okay.
is Sister Sugar D.
Hey.
I heard you say SSDI, which is the
Social
Social Security
Disability insurance.
Insurance. But what's the difference between that and you're getting a Social Security check? That's not the same
that's
thing?
different. That's different. That's different.
Okay, that's what I want. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm talking about disability, but Social Security covers Social Security disability. It covers your retirement, and if somebody passes away, like a father passes away, his benefits will go to his children. So
Right.
it has all these different programs.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm talking about just the disability when you can't work, and if you paid in the system, how it works to get you your money.
Okay,
So,
and before we start again, I'm sorry.
No, please.
My daughter had a stroke, and I know she's disabled. She's been turned down a couple of times already. So,
what? Oh, we got to talk about that. How is that possible?
So,
all right.
So anyway, and I was going to ask you. She was in the military also, but I was going to ask you, how long do you had to pay into it? I heard you say it's not a privilege, but it's something that you've earned. So is what you get back is what you put in it? Is that how that works? I know you're going. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a bottom line, but some people get back a certain amount. Some people get more because they've made, somebody with a 6-figure income who all of a sudden can't work, they're going to have a bigger payout if they paid into it for 20 years as somebody who's made minimum wage. So it all depends.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to ask a question. Don't people in the military, they don't pay Social Security?
I don't know. We're learning. This is all new to us.
Yes, they do.
Okay, I'm about to say,
okay.
Because I know teachers in California, they don't pay Social Security. My girlfriend is a retired teacher, and she says, I got to go back to work. I said, why? Because she wants to get Social Security, and she's got a couple of quarters to work so she can pay into it. So it's all lots of different rules. And but you can call somebody and get that information. All right, so what we're talking about, the work requirements for Social Security disability, you have to pay into the system. And so if you, God forbid, you get disabled before you're 24, you've had to have worked at least 1.5 years in a 3-year period before becoming disabled to get the basic amount of money. And then if between ages of 24 and 31, you have to work about half that time between 21 and when you get disabled. And age 31 or older, you have to work 5 out of 10 years. So that's why it said it is not an entitlement. You paid for these services and this benefit. And all of us here are mature enough to be receiving these notices from Social Security that tells us, I think you should be receiving it at least yearly, where it tells you how much, if you were to retire, how much you would get. And what happens is that if you get disabled, you start getting your retirement money, or that money that's put aside for retirement, you start getting an extra disability check. That's what happens.
And that would be tax-free, right?
For disability, I'm not absolutely sure. I know for retirement it's not, but
Right,
for
right.
disability, it may be tax-free because you can't work.
Right.
But talk to a lawyer, and there's millions of them you can find out. But sometimes you don't need to talk to a lawyer. You can call Social Security and ask somebody, and they will tell you. I mean, there's a lot of services that Social Security offers that you can check it out for yourself. Okay, so who are these beneficiaries? There's over 8.5 million people who receive a disability check from Social Security. And who are they? 29% of them are beneficiaries, and 35% of them are receiving benefits because of intellectual disabilities for some kind of severe illness, some kind of psychiatric problem. All right. Now, sensory disabilities, 9.6% of the workers and 9.7% of all the disabled beneficiaries receiving benefits from nervous system and sense organ. And now, as they think about it, my sister, who's younger than me, autoimmune disease, she got optic neuritis, and she had visual field defects and became blind.
Wow.
That's one. I have a younger brother who had a massive stroke. I don't know why baby boy had the one with the stroke, but he's in a care center. But both of them are on disability. And now that I think about it again, my mother had a pulmonary, she's also autoimmune diseases run through my family. And so she had pulmonary interstitial fibrosis, needing oxygen. And that's probably the first time I heard about disability. I said, Mom, how are you getting all the money for their oxygen? She said disability, and I was a young doctor then. I didn't even know anything about it, but that's how she got it. So it helps people. It helps people, all right? And the other part are physical disabilities. 33% of people receive it from musculoskeletal. So, back, hip. If you have problems in your hands, you work with your hands, you can't use your hands, these people get benefits. So it's a lot of people. Now, you're not getting rich. You're not getting rich. It depends how much you paid into it, but the average worker receives about $1,200 a month. And this is from they want to keep you at or above the federal poverty level. So that's what they compare. FPL means federal poverty level. But even with that, even with disability insurance, 1 in 4 people still live in poverty, and they're low income. 11% of disability workers are poor enough that they can apply for SSI, Social Security income. And more than 38% of workers and 43% of beneficiaries receive less than $1,000 a month. So when people want to talk around and saying all these people laying around and getting rich, no, they aren't. Don't correct them because there's too many crazies out there, but that is not the truth. They are helping people. And if you didn't have these payments, you see a lot more people on the street. a lot more.
Well, that's where they're trying to get everybody to, that seems to be the direction,
No, no. Let me talk about this because I'll get on a soapbox. So
Okay.
let me just stick to this.
Okay.
Afterward, I'll go on my soapbox.
All right.
But so there's certain facts. Social Security disability insurance is coverage that workers earn. Like I said, it is not entitlement, it's earned benefit. And because disability is unpredictable, like I said, baby brother, healthy, all of a sudden, phone call, what happened to it? And all of us have been in that position where we get that phone call and it's like, how did that happen? And we realize it can happen. And so they have experts that project over the decades how many people will qualify and how much the benefits have increased. And so Social Security defines disability very strictly. And when people know I work with Social Security, oh, I've got this back, and they turn me down. I said, all right, you might have pain, but pain alone, it's function, it's your function. And we'll get into that later when I talk about the blue book. But, like I said, the payments, you're not gonna get wealthy off of it, but they work very aggressively to prevent fraud because they're protecting that sum of money for people who need it later on. And like I said, they define disability very strictly, and I'll show you how they define it. And the payments, like I said, are kind of modest, $1,200. But one thing I found out about disability is that if you get on disability, 24 months later, you can get on Medicare. And Medicare is an insurance that so many people need. And Medicare, all I can say is what Obama did was so remarkable and it saved so many people. And my only problem with when he got out his insurance is that he didn't publicize it. The first time, and I'm a physician, the first time I heard about everything that was in Obamacare is when Imo gave a talk talking about it, saying that you could stay on it till you're 26, this and this. Why didn't he have people going everywhere? If he did, even these red states would be signing up for it. But powers that be want you tied to a job. If you don't have a job, you don't have insurance. And so he enabled people to be able to work from home, work from here, because you can get Obamacare and still have insurance. And so that's another soapbox. I'll get off that one real quick. All right. So like I said, they're really modest, but it's because disability is unpredictable. You might be very healthy. Then some idiot crosses a median and boom.
Yeah.
You're paraplegic, and it's not your fault. It's bitter, but these things happen. And they're saying that as people with baby boomers are getting older, or all of us are getting at that age, so, and the people coming behind us, there aren't as many people. That's what they're worried about. I think certain political parties want women to breed, get these workers paying into the system, but it doesn't seem to be doing. Then that's not happening. So Social Security has really done a lot of different things to protect that trust fund. So what I'd like to talk about now is
Rita.
Yes.
There's a hand, Brother Katabasi.
Oh yes, sorry.
Hand up. Go ahead, Brother Katabasi.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Rita. Do you know if the ability to receive Social Security disability insurance is affected by any other government funds that one may be receiving?
I'm not aware of it. No, I'm not aware of that. If you get it, like you're saying, if you're on some other program, they'll take it from you. I'm not aware of that, no. But I'm in the medical part. I don't know what happens when the claimant leaves, but I'm not aware of that at all.
Yeah, I was just thinking of someone who receives some benefits through the Veterans Administration.
Oh,
And I was just curious as to whether he may still qualify for Social Security disability as well.
well, that's interesting. You brought that up. Today, I was doing a case on this Marine, and we had to go through all their records. And one of his records was from the VA hospital and the disabled veterans, where he had 30% for his back, 30% for this. But that didn't affect, I was reading it and that told me, what they said his disabilities were, but
Mhm.
that wouldn't affect a payment that Social Security sent to him. So no, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
It's Henry. I can tell you that with the VA, it depends on whether it's service related or whether you're just a veteran.
Oh,
And so if it's service related, it's not offset. If it's just you are a veteran and you have an injury, then like I can pay into it. I pay $30 a month so that I get certain access to VA benefits that because I don't have any type of disability when I got out the military.
Okay, so if you had a disability leaving the military, would you still be able to qualify for this SSDI?
Yes,
as far as I know, yes.
yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We have a hand up, Sister Tony. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Rita.
Hello?
So do you pay into the SSI and the SSDI separately?
No, you
or
don't
are
pay
they
into
together?
SSI. You don't pay into SSI. SSI is for when people are flat broke. Absolutely. Broke.
Okay,
And it's a stipend that the government gives you because you have no money at all. Now, it's a smaller stipend, and I'll see if we have some numbers about it, but SSI, this is just when you're broke, you haven't okay, let me get on a soapbox. Okay. I had a patient one time when I was still practicing, and her mother, she's from India, and her mother needed heart surgery. All right. And so, and she, of course, they don't play in India. You got to pay or you don't get it. So she brought her mother over to the United States because she's a tech worker. And because her mother doesn't speak English, because her mother said she didn't go to school, because you can't prove it, she's from India, she got SSI. And SSI includes Medicaid. And she got her surgery. So, and I see a lot of abuses that way. I mean, some folks know this system better than Americans do. And I was telling my husband that when I was in California, if I saw Armenian applying for disability, it was fraud until proven otherwise, because they've got such a system. They know the right doctors know what to say, and they know, oh, I can't speak English, and they all can understand it. I mean, they know the system. We don't know our system. But they've changed some of things that if you can't speak English, you don't get an extra helping. Now they've changed that because a lot of people in other countries, they speak 2 or 3 languages. So they come over here, oh, I can't speak it, and they can't. But you have to know the system. But SSI is for when you're broke, when you have
Okay.
nothing.
so let me reword my question then. So it's Social Security and SSDI. That's
Yeah,
two different things.
Yeah, Social Security.
Can you get them both, or is it something that you're paying into or earning separately or is
No,
it one?
no, SSI is something that you don't pay into because you don't have.
Not SSI, just
The
the regular
SSDI, yeah, you
social-
pay into it. You pay
Right,
into
but
it.
is it connected to your social security, your regular, so like I get a social security check.
Yeah,
I'm,
it is
I'm not
connected to it.
disabled.
But
I'm not
say,
disabled. So is that separate? Would I have had?
no,
to
it's the
pay?
same thing. So what happens
Okay.
is,
So
say
it's
for
either
example,
or.
it's
It's
either
either
or.
or.
So
Okay,
if
that's what
you
I was
became
trying to do.
disabled, you're just getting your social security check early. So like when my sister became blind, and so basically she's getting her social security check as a disability check. It's not separate. So you don't get a disability check and then when you turn 65, start getting social security checks. It's not
'Cause
like that.
I get social security, but I'm not disabled.
Yeah, so that's right. It's
But
two,
if something happened to me now, would it convert?
no,
to
no, you,
SSD? No, it would just,
no,
say-
no,
okay,
no,
okay,
no,
got it.
no,
All
no,
right.
no.
Can I ask a related question?
Yes,
Okay, if a person is poor and gets Social Security, do they also get disability insurance?
no, because you have to pay into the system.
Okay, got you.
So they guess what SSI is. SSI is a
Mhm,
check from the government because you're broke.
mhm,
But if and so it makes a difference. Those little jobs you get when you were a teenager, you look,
Mhm.
they made a record of that. And one thing a lot of youngsters are doing, I'll give you another example. I'll talk about my relatives because they're not here. But one niece, all right, I said, baby, why are you doing these kind of jobs? She says, I want all my money, auntie. I don't want them to take anything out of it. I can spend it better myself. I said, where did this Republican come from? What is wrong with her? But what happens is when you get paid under the table, you have no earned benefits. And you do 20 years of that, and then something happens. You don't get Social Security check, or your check is really low because you haven't been paying into the system when you retire, or you can't get disability insurance. You end up with just SSI, which is a smaller check. And if you're really, really broke, you have to apply for Medicaid to get it. Whereas Social Security disability, if you don't have your own insurance, you can get Medicare after 2 years. And then people trash Medicare, there's a lot of rules, but really it does cover a lot. And what the one best thing about Medicare is that when doctors accept Medicare, there's no balanced billing. So say, for example, a doctor says, oh, this costs $5,000. It doesn't, they just said it, but they say it costs $5,000. And some private insurances, if they pay $1,000, the doctor will come back and instruct the patient to pay the rest. But with Medicare, Medicare says, we're paying this and you can't charge the patient more than this. And that's, so that's why a lot of doctors, now Medicare there was a time years ago when, I don't take Medicare. But now all the private insurance people are saying, well, if they're taking Medicare fees, why are we paying all this money? So now the fees are getting more like Medicare. But that's what Medicare, being American, protects you. So that's just another side. But if you have family members, youngsters saying, I want to pay, it's hard to imagine what can happen to you 20 years down the line. But you probably, not unless you're independently wealthy, you probably need to have, insurance, Social Security, disability insurance.
Dr. Rita, we have another hand, Brother Katabasi, go ahead.
Yes, Katubazi back again. One thing I'm not clear on is if one is receiving Social Security and they have a disability and they want to apply for Social Security disability insurance, is that just a matter of transitioning from the regular Social Security to Social Security disability, or is there some other requirements involved here?
All right. as per my understanding, remember, I'm in the medical part. I'm not in this financial part. But I've never heard of anybody who was getting Social Security checks and then going back and applying for a Social Security disability, because Social Security disability check is your Social Security check. So if you're already getting it, if you're in Social Security, you're probably getting Medicare, so you're covered. All right. So I'm not aware of that you can have, you say you're 64, 62. A lot of people are collecting their money early, 62, and you become disabled. But if you're already collecting that pot of money that you've been paying into, that's it.
Can I say something?
Yes.
With to disability, when they okay you for disability, they check your Social Security standard, and they pay you whichever one is greater. If your regular Social Security is greater than disability, you will get your regular Social Security. Whichever one is greater is the one they give you.
Okay, have your answer right there.
Right there. Thank you, Mama Rose.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I think it's the same as if you're collecting your relative, like me, my husband's disability. And then when I retire and I look at my disability, I know mine is more than his, and I'll end up collecting mine. But right now I'm collecting his. That's how that goes, I believe.
Yes.
It's too bad that money is gone. My husband paid it too. I mean, it's gone for me, because it's just there. I switch over to mine, and his is just, whatever they do with it.
No, people have asked me, should I take out my Social Security at 62? And you have to make that decision. They always say, oh, if you just wait till you're 70, 72, it'd be such a bigger check. But for African Americans, I can't tell you the friends of mine, one dear friend of mine, 65, worked for the state. She retired, getting a big check from the state, getting her Social Security. 4 months later, pancreatic cancer. 6 months later, we went to her funeral. And I hear, there's so many Black people who are just, they're gone and not getting the full benefits. So you have to think real hard. If you take it out early, that's all you're ever going to get. So if you need it, you need it. But if you can afford not to wait, you can wait till you're 65. But when I retired from the state, I was 67, and they said, oh, well, you can. I said, no, start paying me now. I want my money.
Yes.
Right now it's 66 and a half for like me to get the full
it
benefit.
keeps inching up.
Yeah,
Yes,
mine,
it does.
Yeah, it does.
yeah, mine was 67 in 3 months. In retirement, for my
When
full
I
Social
look-
Security.
When I looked at mine, I could take a little bit of a pension plan I had set up, or Social Security, or I could take them both. I was 65, but I was waiting, and then it occurred to me, what's in my pension plan will pass on to beneficiaries.
Yes.
What's in Social Security does not. I'm not married. So I took my Social Security because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Ain't promised.
No, that's right. And that's a good decision for you. Everybody has to make up their own mind, but yeah,
that was my reasoning.
I wouldn't tell anybody. All I would say, I just know too many people who thought they'd have it for the next 20 years and only had it for 6 months. So everybody's got to look at their circumstances, their health, their, who's going to get it and things like that. So.
Yes, Sister Tony has her hand up. Go ahead, Sister Tony.
Okay, so I started taking my Social Security out when I was eligible. but I was still working.
Okay.
But it was beyond the 62. And someone told me, and I didn't believe them until it happened, that when I retired, they reduced my Social Security. I was getting more Social Security when I was working than when I retired. And they said it's something about double dipping. I still don't understand that.
Oh,
I've heard
that, but I don't understand it either. But
I need more money now, not when I'm working and earning an income. So that was crazy to me. You don't know what the rationale is behind that?
No, I'm sorry, I don't, but I've heard people say that they're taking out their Social Security, but they're working. And then they try to get just pure Social Security. Sometimes they have to pay something back. I said, I have never heard that, but you have to call them and ask them. But I have heard of that you can't continue work. You can work at a certain level. When you get past that level, then they start saying, well, and they start saying you have to pay them back or something. I'm not sure, because like I said, I just do the medical part.
Yeah. That's my understanding. That's my understanding that you can
and
work.
I understand that, but I was getting more Social Security while I was working, and it reduced after I retired. That's
probably because they saw what you did and they just took it back then.
Well, also, I think it depends on if you work for some people. Like, if you are a teacher in California, you don't pay into the Social Security system. If you're a City of Berkeley employee, you don't pay into the Social Security system. So you don't get that, those wages don't count when they figure out what your Social Security is once you retire, because you're supposed to have a pension plan coming from the city or coming from the teachers.
Yeah, that's what I understand. One of my close girlfriends, she said, I said, you don't get Social Security? She says, no, she was a social worker working for LA County. And I thought everybody got Social Security, but she says no. But that's the one also who she wants to get Social Security. But so because she had little jobs while she was young, before she became a social worker, she just needs a couple more quarters to qualify for Social Security. So she's going back to work just to get that. But they do have a lot of rules, but believe me, there are people who can explain it to you.
Yes, indeed. Yes. All right. I don't see any more hands. Oh no, we have a hand here. Mama Conke, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a real good thing that, and I try to tell, younger adults that are, starting to get around 50, 55, to really start checking into your retirement, really start looking at it, before you get 60, so that for sure what you're heading for, because you may need to make some changes. Because sometimes even like with, your Social Security or your pensions, some people don't understand what their medical will really be once they've retired, and are surprised at the end when people are really available to discuss, things with you at the age of 50 to show you where you'll be, give you ideas. And so I try to tell that to younger adults who are working and, to be on top of it,
No, I've been very fortunate because I knew nothing. I would see these sheets and just toss them. And so when I turned 65, I asked them, how much am I getting? I had no clue. I didn't. And because I'm a physician, I put money away and left it at that. But I hear so many horror stories of people working for these companies for years, and then they're ripped off. And then the company gets away scot-free, and you can try to sue them, but just suing them costs money. So it's excellent advice that you're going to live, if you're blessed, 20, 30 years after retirement. A lot of people take an early retirement, that fire where you retire early. You need to know what's there. And if you're with, everybody wants to trash county government, but they have rules, and they usually do not rip you off like private industry does. So, so people do need to pay attention to that. You should have talked to me, but I didn't know anything until they had me a piece of paper. Was that it? Okay, I didn't. But you have to be proactive in this day and age.
I think the key is that they want you to be ignorant.
Yes.
On these things, and I'm so glad that you're providing this information, and also our audience, the questions and the comments and remarks are very helpful. And I think in the future, when people watch this, they can gain a lot just by listening to this presentation.
I want to show one more thing if I can. All right.
Sure, certainly.
A lot of people tell me, you guys always no one ever gets disability insurance. And they act like we just, not me, but people just top of their heads. Now there are some demons who work there, but they do have rules. They do have rules. And so I'm going to show our Bible. All right. It's called the Blue Book. Let me see if I can get this up. Yeah. So what this is that there's a book that we use to determine. Oh, that's Bill. There's a book that we use to determine if you have a disability. All right. So that's why people who are angry because I have had back pain for all these years. How come I can't get it? But there's certain things we look at. Now, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, her husband has heart failure, and he's always going in the hospital, out. And she said, I've applied and we never get it. I said, well, he seems pretty sick to me. Let's just look. And so what I told her to do is come look at, it's called the Blue Book under Social Security. And we're going to look under adult listings. Why isn't this coming up? Oh, here it is. Sorry. Okay, and cardiovascular 4.0. That we use codes for different things. So 4.0. So let's see, what does it take to get disability if you have heart disease? And if you can't see this, I'm going to try to.
We can see it. We can see it.
Okay. So I'm going to go through it just briefly. I don't expect, but this is what people look at. So this person had heart failure. So we'll look at heart failure. What do you have to have? You have to be on a regimen of prescribed treatment. And despite being on this treatment, you're still having symptoms and signs of heart failure. So, and they look at ejection fraction. So you get, when you get those echocardiograms, they look at the ejection fraction. And so you have to look at these tests. And then you have to have one of these other things, is persistent symptoms, like you can't do your activities of daily living. And so what I told him, I said, did you tell your doctor that you need a cane to get around? He said, no. I said, next time you go in there, tell him I can't get around without my cane. I have to sit down. Don't be stoic about it. Tell him every symptom, because he has to write every symptom in the records, because that's what we look at. He determined. And so he went back and he says, I need to sit down. When I walk, I have to use a cane. And he applied again and he got it. They have to see certain things. All right. And if you've been hospitalized 3 or more times, you should be able to get it. I mean, there's lots of different things here. We have dyspnea, fatigue, palpitations. And so I would tell anybody that if you're not getting it, look and just see what it takes to meet a listing. You have to be really sick, but to meet a listing, like say, for example, someone mentioned stroke. Now, my brother, as I said, had a massive stroke. And let me get out of here. Let me go to neurology. neurological disorders. Stroke, vascular insult to the brain. Now, my brother, of course, he had a bad one. So he can't move his right side, and it affected his speech. So you're telling me that happened and they didn't get it? No, that's so stroke. You either have sensory or motor aphasia, where you have ineffective speech or communication that lasts at least 3 months after the stroke, or you have disorganization of motor function in two extremities, like he can't move his right side, so his arm and his leg, and he can't stand up from a seated position, he can't balance, and for 3 or more months, or you have a limitation in understanding and applying information, concentrating, all these type of things. So if they see all those things, you meet a listing and you will get it. But even if you don't meet a listing, if you have a type of job that something happens, but you're not on your game and you can't function the way you did, you might be able to get a payment that way. But I'm just saying that if you're so inclined, because a lot of people don't want to, I'm interested in this, but if somebody's sick, just look here and say, all right, I have this, I have a bad back. What does it take to meet listing for back? And it's not just pain, it's certain neurological symptoms that you have. So it might be interesting. And let's see, it's SSA. Let me see if I can put this in the chat.
That's just okay. Sister Rita, you say you can look it up though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I can put it in chat, babe.
Okay, I'm gonna take it.
Let me put this this link in the chat.
Beautiful, beautiful. There it is.
Let's see, that one's for stroke, but if I can put the other one in, let's see. But
I think if you back out of this and get the general.
Yeah, I just want to get the general one. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what you want.
Yeah.
You can see why I rely on my husband for things like this. I don't think the way he thinks.
You mean the man that's back there in the shorts? It's because showing how the weather is, how good the weather is.
I think I can manage this. Copy and paste. This is what I can manage.
Cool.
All right. Oh, okay. So anybody who's so inclined to look and see. So you should go back. And another thing I get a lot is that people say, oh, you have to have a lawyer. Now, like I said, my sister, she said, you have to have a lawyer. I said, Suzanne, when you're blind, you're blind. You will get a payment. And here, you know how your relatives don't listen, your family doesn't listen to you. So I said, just, and she's a manager. So she has messages, notes, she's on top of her game. So I said, just go there. Go. And where do you go? You go to Social Security office. You can either send the application online or you go there. And she went there. She gave them all the doctors she saw in the Houston Medical Center. And in 3 months, she was told she got it. And I said, if you have these things and they see it, you will get it. Now, she had to wait about 2 more months for the payments start coming in. But like I said, if you have it, now sometimes I have seen some things that were just wrong. There's some people who shouldn't be working there who feels like nobody deserves it. We got these types everywhere. So if you feel like you have a disability, you keep applying, and maybe you get somebody with a heart next time. I don't know, but this is what you need to have your records. And that's what's so important, having records. and if you don't, the problem is a lot of people are sick. They can't afford to go to a doctor, so they have no records. But if you have no records, the disability will send you to a doctor for an exam. And that exam will, at least get a baseline of what your limitations are. So.
This is really good. I didn't even know such a thing existed. So this.
Disability?
No, this blue book.
Yes.
The Bible. We have another question from
the Armenians know it exists.
Go ahead, Sister Tony.
So can the blue book be utilized by military people, or do they have a different?
They probably, knowing the military, because like I said, I was looking at these records from this Marine, and I think they're more into minutia than Social Security is. I mean, 30% here, 10% there. They've got it down when they do that. Though I was astonished to see he got 20% for erectile dysfunction. I said, what? I can't believe that. But it's the military. But I was stunned. I was just reading all the things was wrong. He did a lot of things wrong. He's probably going to get a payment, but I didn't add that because to me that's.
Sister Rita,
yes.
A friend of mine who is an OBGYN doctor, we were talking about that last night. She said that men can get the blue pill and women can't get what they need through the insurance for the estrogen. And
that is so unfair.
Erectile dysfunction, them getting something was not a surprise. It didn't surprise me after what she said. Somebody
at disability, somebody at Medicare said, you know what? These 80-year-old men need to have sex at least 10 times a month because they get 10 pills a month. Now, whereas a woman can't get certain medications because that's just superfluous. But somebody made that decision. Don't get me started, okay?
No, I won't. But she said, and here we are. We need something, because we're dry and waiting on that blue pill and then to work, but they won't give us nothing.
Oh, they won't pay for that.
They won't pay for it.
No, they really should pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't want to get too
double
X here.
I'm just saying that.
Nervous, but okay.
No, but I was just saying that the males can get, men will get it before the women.
Yeah, Medicare says they need it. So I don't know who made that decision. That's why we need more women in medicine.
Y'all know a man made that decision. Good and well, a man made that. That's how it happened. A man made the decision.
But look at what Bill put in there. He said, what age and who's in Congress?
That's right. See, they make sure they get their pills. That's right. They get their pills.
Yeah,
that's so correct.
It's no question. We're still under the patriarchy, in case you didn't know. So yeah. Yep.
And some of these senators have been there since I was a young woman, and now I'm old, and they're still here.
Strom Thurmond, look at how old he was.
Oh yes, yeah. The Congress is the best nursing home in the world. But when you're that age and you've been pampered for 20, 30 years, you don't understand what it's like for regular Americans, and they vote like that.
Plus, can I share something, Rita? I have this slide here, and I think this kind of addresses. I got this slide. I saw this slide. Let me go back here.
Oh, you see that, Bill? Yeah, that's so outrageous.
Yeah. So this shows you what spending is on. They love war. They crave it. But
no, somebody's making huge amounts of money. The United States has not won a war since World War II. It's not about winning anything.
Yeah.
When they went to Iraq, they had huge pallets of cash, just poured money into everything. Yeah. They didn't win, but that's not the point. The point is that private equity and the defense contractors need money. That's why I'm wondering, why is this China this, China that? I know they don't think they're going to go after China, but I think it's they want something because we haven't had a war since we pulled out of Afghanistan, and people are just getting antsy.
Yeah, well, so when they say food stamp program is,
oh no, that's so outrageous.
Yeah, so
and they say they can't give people student loans. Where in other first world countries, if you go to college, the government wants you to be educated, but not here.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you're having us to critically think on these issues and not accept the pablum of deceit that we're given. And I'm glad that you're giving us such a good instruction.
Just remember, it's not an entitlement. I hate that.
Yeah.
It is a paid benefit.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So if there's no further questions, please continue. We have about another 30 minutes of listening to you, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, okay. Okay, what I want to talk about is people say, well, I just go briefly over what does it take to get disability and what do you have to go through? Everybody talks about, oh, there's so many different steps and things. But basically, it's a 5-step program to start the disability process. First, you have to go down to Social Security and make an application. And, they have field offices everywhere. So just look it up. I mean, before I worked there, I didn't know about the field office. You can change this, change that, but you can apply there and they will take that. You can apply online if you want to, or you can apply in person. So what they want to know is, are you currently working? Because if you are working and you're not blind and your earnings are more than $1,300 a month, then you would not be considered for disability. Because they feel like if you don't need it. So you have to have, the income has to fall below a certain level for you to apply to disability. So that's why you don't see millionaires lose their job when those people getting laid off at Facebook and at those things. They can't go to disability because their pay is too high. They probably have money in the bank, so they're not going to be able to get disability. See, so there's a certain amount of money you have to make, or then you have to have a severe condition. And like I said, a lot of people say, oh, my back hurt, this, but you have to have a severe medical condition that interferes with your basic work activities. All right. So if you have back pain, but you take pills and you still work, you're probably not going to get it. But if you have back pain and you can't function, or you're in bed and they can document that, that's something else. And they look and see, is it going to last a long time? Because a lot of people, we get beat up, but we rehab and you're back at work in 6 months. So you're probably not going to get a disability. And then you have to have a condition that's found in that book, that blue book. So there's a lot of psychological things that people have that is not in the blue book. You're probably not going to get it. Now, I don't think they've identified sexual dysphoria yet. We might have to make some changes for all the trans people or whatever's going on. But you're probably not going to get a disability payment for that yet. But if their lobby is strong enough, they might. I don't know. All right. But whatever is wrong with you has to be found in that book. It has to have under one of those listings. All right. Then, can you do the work you did before? If you can't, then if you can do something else, you won't be considered disabled. So if you did this one, the serviceman I saw today, he was a Marine, he does crane operating. All right. So he can't do that. But there's a book they have that these other jobs are available, and how many jobs are available in the country. And if they say you live in the area where these jobs are available, they'll say, no, you can't get disability. And they want to know, can you do any other kind of work? Now, the easiest person to get a disability check is someone who does hard work, because and they've done it for 20 years. Because say, for example, you're a laborer, digging ditches, hard physical labor. They know if you have a GED or a high school grad diploma, after 20, 25 years of work, are you going to go back and get a college degree? And some people do, but the chances of you doing this, and now you're in your late 40s, 50s, it's easier for you to get disability check. I saw a neurosurgeon come in, and I was looking at his case, you know, and I said, he's a neurosurgeon. He has some kind of palsy. So you don't want somebody shaking, you know, doing neurosurgery, all right? But I had to say, yeah, you can't be a neurosurgeon, but excuse me, you're a physician. You can go out and read a chart. You can go do this, do that. So I know he was ticked off when we sent back and said no. And he's a neurosurgeon. But if you can't do what you were trained to do, you can do something else. And they know what jobs are available. All right. So if you can do any other type of work, they're going to want you to do that work. So those are things that sets it up. And people say it takes so long. Why does it take so long? How many times, like I'll say for myself, I had surgery in Houston. Now, I know the name of the hospital because I had privileges there. But even now I had to think real hard, what year was that? We're talking a couple of decades ago. Now, if you've been in and out several different hospitals and people say, get your records, not everybody keeps record of where they were. I've had people say, well, it's on that street where next to the freeway or this or that. And they can't remember what was the surgery, who did the surgery. And even worse, if you can just tell me what hospital you went to, we could get the records. But they can't remember the hospital they went to. So you need to get your records. So I would tell anybody who has surgery, have them give you a copy of your operative report. Just give it to you. They can just hit a button, give it to you. But you know, most people don't think like that because once it's one and done, and you don't think about it. But when you applying for disability, they want everywhere you've been. They want every procedure you've had. They want to see your medical records. And people who can get it together quickly can get an answer quickly. Like my sister, you know, she said, "Oh, it's going to take." Everybody says it takes years. I need a lawyer. She told them everywhere she went, they got the records. She was, she got her disability. So.
These are great stories to know. Anyone else have a question? We see Brother Henry. Go ahead, Brother Henry.
Okay, so the one thing that I had to do was I found that even though I qualified for Social Security and everything, some states, like in California, if I apply for disability, and even though I'm on Social Security already, if I get disability, the state will also give me benefits.
Oh.
Separate from it. So I even I thought about moving to New Mexico because as a veteran, they offer me tremendous benefits and right down to just, they will tax-free everything. So you have to check not only just under what program you're applying under, but how many of these other states take your Social Security account and status, and then they will judge their benefits based on, because then they don't have to research.
Yeah.
And so you need to know what the state offers, because you go, oh, I can't get, if I get this, it won't benefit me. You've got to dig a little bit lower and see if another organization will offset some of the state taxes, especially state taxes. If you're paying state taxes on various accounts and you go on disability, a lot of times they will terminate those taxes as long as you're in that status.
Oh, that's good to know. I wasn't aware of that, but it's all about reading. And like I said, I'm not gonna point fingers because I didn't know a thing until I applied. But you have to be your own best, take care of yourself and read. And like I said, a lot of people don't. That's why I want to get the word out. You can be kind of proactive yourself. You can pick up the phone and call. Someone will tell you something, So like I said, why did we come to Florida? Well, I came to Florida because I like the beaches, but no state income tax. And I remember paying state tax in California. So that's a little something that's good. And so you have to see in other states, though, I tell you, our governor makes it, I'm going to stop talking. Don't mention him. Just pray that he doesn't become president. But other than that, other states offer, because they want you to come there. And so you have to know. But unfortunately for a lot of us, we don't know unless somebody tells us, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else. You have to be proactive. You have to be able to read and look for these things.
I tell y'all what, Sister Rita, I lived in Florida, and what a culture shock, or whatever shock it was, when I came to Virginia and my car was paid for, and I had to pay personal property tax.
I couldn't believe, my brother told me that. I thought that's the craziest thing I ever heard of.
Freaked out. I said, I can't believe, what are you saying? And I still pay, and it depends on what you pay for the car. As to how much you pay.
Virginia, and he told me that. I thought, what? Your car's paid for and you're still paying that? I can't believe it. Why are you
as your car get older, the money goes down. But if you buy, I had a Jaguar when I came, and it was paid for. Mm-hmm. But my car costs more than my Toyota. Of course, it depends on the car you had. They base it on your car.
And I don't know how that passed. How did that pass?
I'm just telling you how they do it. And as your car get older, it's reduced. It goes down each year or whatever, maybe every 2 years or so. But yes, and then I pay state taxes. Now last year I got federal income tax back, but I had to pay state taxes back. Go figure.
You had to pay attention to these things. You out here in Florida, when we say we're from California, they think you guys are Satanists. They say like, oh, you're so happy to be here. I said, have you ever been to California? It's beautiful out there. And they just think there's child sacrifices on every street. They're crazy here. They really think California is satanic. There's nothing, okay, but it's gotten to a point, I don't even tell people we moved from California, because they say, are you glad you're here? I'm glad to live close to the beach. Now, the rest of y'all, though I am happy that they have their Trump signs, because I wouldn't know who was a knuckle-dragging troglodyte unless they did.
Well, you know what? They have beaches in California that just aren't as warm as Florida.
Oh, that's right. It is a little nippy.
Yeah, go to Mission Beach in San Francisco. Ooh. All right. Are there any other questions or comments for? We have the lady here, and she's already revealed so many things to us so far.
Just read.
Go ahead, Conke. Go ahead.
So once you are on Social Security disability, is it permanent, or do they review?
Yes, they do. What happens is, what did you get Social Security? What was your disability? So say, for example, I use my sister. She's blind. Now, the chances of her ever getting her sight back are nil, but they never let you just sit and not do anything. So they'll send her a letter in about 7 to 10 years and say, we want to know, have you gotten better? And they want to look at her records. And if nothing's changed, the payments continue. Because a lot of people, things that was super serious years ago, people can get treatments and they can go back to work. Though if you go back to work, they'll know, but people get paid under the table or something like that. So for some illnesses, like my brother had a stroke, with other people, you have heart failure. But if you drop 100 pounds and you're on these, they have fantastic drugs now, you're back to able to walk around without any difficulty. So they're going to, in 7 years usually, they will send a letter and say, we need to get all your records to see have you had any improvement. So no, it's not, you know, they are overbooked right now. So if 7 years has gone by, people think, okay, I'm free. But no, sooner or later, you're going to get caught. People say they work and they don't know about it. But Social Security has fingers everywhere. You'd be surprised at things they can get on people. So just do it right. But if you want to, go ahead. But usually they check on you after about 7 years.
Do they do more than just, do they actually do physical checks? Like they have spies?
Yeah, well, what happens, like say, for example, somebody had a mild stroke, but they, you know, but in about 5 years, you can't say, well, I'm still sick. What they'll do is they want to see medical records. They want to see that you've seen a doctor. And if you haven't seen a doctor, they'll send you to a doctor to get a physical exam to see has your function come back. So, like, for example, you got disability because of your hip. Well, you can get a hip replacement now, and you can go back to work, or you have less pain. And so you might get a couple of years of payments, but sooner or later, they're going to say, we need your records. And they'll get your record and see you've had hip surgery, you're back to walking, and you may not be doing this work you did before, but you can do something. And if you're not at an advanced age, because they don't really think at 55 you can be trained for anything. But if you're in your 40s and you get better, they're going to say you got to find a job somewhere else in the workforce. That's why I said the easiest person to get disability is a hardworking laborer who has a high school education, because they know after 20 years, they're kind of broken down. They're probably not going to go back and get trained for anything else. And it's hard. They know that most people, you know, a lot of people aren't going to want to go to college in their 50s. Now, to me, I would, but some people don't. And so that they're more likely to get a payment than somebody else. But somebody who's college educated, even if you have a bad physical condition, they know you can use your brain. So it's going to be harder for you to say you're totally disabled, because they think you can be trained to do something else.
Sister Darnisha has her hand up. Go ahead and ask your question.
My question is about being able to work a job once you've collected Social Security. What is the rule on being able to provide additional income?
Oh, we were just discussing that a little earlier. One of the ladies here said that she worked and then her payments went down. I'm sorry, but I just do the medical part. I hear anecdotal stories and I've heard about that, but I don't know enough to tell you so you won't get in trouble.
Okay, thank you.
So
Mama Fula has her hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. It's a lot of wonderful information. But here's a general question too. If you've been receiving Social Security income since you retired, and let's say finally you reach age 84, 85, and you still haven't claimed disability or anything, do they increase your Social Security income or?
No.
No, it just stays the same.
Okay. Stays the same.
Okay.
But you get increases in Social Security every year, right?
Yeah, but not based on that you're disabled.
long
You
is
get,
it?
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
cost of living increases.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
This has been wonderful, Sister Rita. You have helped me tremendously. I'll be able to go take some of this stuff back with my daughter and all, and I understand why they did turn her down from the Blue Book. I can't wait to read more on that. So I'm very, very,
You
very
better,
appreciative.
every other group of people knows everything in that Blue Book.
Isn't that something?
They do, and they know what doctors, and the doctors they send, that's what you hear people getting busted. That's what happens. They go to this one doctor, and no matter what's wrong with you, they'll say, they look at the Blue Book, yes, they did this, yes, they can't do that, and they get all this, you know, and they'll get on it, and people say, how did he get it? He can walk, and I see him fishing. You know, it's,
Wow.
but you just have to know. But yeah, but that's just the basis. But that's not 100%. There's lots of little things too that if you can't do it, but you wonder, how did I get turned down? Look and see what that book says. But if you have those things and you got turned down, apply again. It doesn't cost anything to apply again because it depends who's looking at the records. Now, and you have to see some of these doctors that feel like African Americans are workhorses, and if they should be able to work. Where some, you know, and so you need to look and see what records they got. You can get a copy of your records and see what are they really saying about me that I didn't get disability. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but just keep applying, you'll get it.
Mama and Gina, if you can hold your question. Sister Celeste had her hand, and then you're next, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, go ahead, Celeste.
So can you apply for disability once you've started receiving your Social Security and you're at 65, you're on Medicare?
Yeah, no, because what I was saying earlier, as far as my understanding is, when you get disability, you're getting your Social Security check. You're just getting it early.
Right,
So,
because you're getting disability because you can't work.
That's right.
Then once you're retired, it wouldn't be disability anymore because you're not working.
Yeah, that's kind of semantics, but you're not getting any increase. You're getting that check.
Right.
You're getting that money that's under your name in the Social Security system.
Yeah, because these are all different things or to cover different things. The disability is more to help you out if you become disabled before you're able to retire.
That's right. So if you have a stroke, if you get blind, if you have a car accident from no fault of your own, or you have an illness, or you have COVID, you have all these things happening to you and you can't work, you can get, you can pull your Social Security check and it's called disability.
All right. All right, Mom and Gina.
Okay, and I was out and about, so I'm a little late, so you probably already covered this. So if this relates to my brother, if you are on just regular Social Security, can you then apply for disability?
No, no.
Because he went out and he should have did disability, but he just took regular Social Security. And he should have.
Yeah, if he was young enough, he might have.
No, he's 67.
No, they wouldn't switch him over. No.
Wow. And is it possible to receive Social Security and disability at the same time?
Yes, it is, but it's not Social Security disability. Some people have disability policies. You know, it's not, we're talking about, you know, it's not Social Security. It's like you've been paying for this disability policy. And a lot of people have, you know, some programs that they can. And so when you're disabled, you get a check, but it's not from Social Security, because if you're from Social Security has either disability check or retirement check.
Thank you.
All right, Sugar D, thank you, Mom and Gina. Go ahead.
Just wanted to clear something up. So basically, you get out of it what you put in it, whether you're disabled or whether you're retiring or whatever. That's right. That's exactly what it is. And
that's why the SSI checks are lower, because You didn't pay into it. That's a small amount that the federal government gives you. And when I see what they passed, these things would not pass now. Helping people who can't afford this, helping people who can't afford that. Because back in the 40s and 50s, people were starving. People were eating dog food. I mean, they didn't have anything, so they had to do something. But the SSI is just a check they give you so you have something. So you can't say, I don't have anything. And you said, well, how can somebody live off of less than $1,000 a month? Well, they have houses, you share this, that. I don't know how they do, but it's done. All right. But that's why a lot of people say, well, they want to go back to work. A lot of people want to go back to work because their disability check, it's okay, but they can't fly high on that disability check, really. Not unless they're working under the table. So many people will rat you out to the Social Security because they're mad at you. But they go back to work because you make more money working than you get from that check for a lot of people.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we have about 7 minutes. Excuse me. We have about 8 minutes. And we're going really strong, and it's really some really good questions and some really good answers. This has been a great session.
I have a question.
Okay, who's that?
That's me. Is your governor going to run?
God, I don't know anything about that. Don't know, don't care. But,
really, it's gotten to that point.
You know, I was going to. You mentioned your governor, and I don't like to call his name, but yeah, that's too good for him. But there is this brother. It's called Professor Truth. You all can look it up on YouTube. He's called Professor Truth, and he has a segment. It's about 22 minutes on the governor of Florida. You might find interesting. Professor Truth, and search on the governor. I like what he has to say. Go ahead, Saraswati. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you for that flyer. It's beautiful.
Yes, indeed. You're muted. You're muted, Saraswati.
Thank you very much. I'm learning new skills. That was Photoshop. So yeah.
Oh, that's flawless.
Thank you. So this is just it's a comment. So I feel like everybody who's on the call right now is more sensitive to, Social Security and the benefits. But my niece is 30. She works as a social worker, and she gets a lot of calls from people in our age range who are just finding out that, in fact, I should have paid into Social Security, that kind of thing. And she is fanatical about the amount of money that she can put away. She does the max. If she can't have beans and rice, then it doesn't matter.
Oh, she is in the 0.00%. My goodness.
So I just feel like this is also a really important message for young people. I know that it seems like it's a long way off, but it will come up on you in a minute. And if you start early, that money grows so much faster. So I just wanted to just say, if like when you think about this message that Sister Rita is sharing with us, it's really important for young people too. That's all.
It's hard for them to think that way. And I was sharing at the beginning of the talk, one of my ratchet nieces, and they always like to work under the table, and they always want to keep their money. But I've told her that when the time comes, you're going to get the pittance because you have not paid into the system. You can't think in terms, they don't think in terms of that. But you're right. If you can tell them, at least tell them once, they may not listen, but you'd be surprised. Some people may listen. You don't want to get paid under the table, not unless you're a drug dealer. But you need to have a little something, just a little something. But
and even then, you need to invest.
Yeah.
But it happened to, well, I guess maybe my grandmother's generation, that they didn't make very much.
Yes.
So their Social Security checks are very small.
Yes.
And then inflation happened and everything went up. Their Social Security checks did not increase that much. Cost of living on small wages doesn't get you into an apartment in California.
No, it doesn't. I mean, if you're making $1,000 a month, and we were talking about what some people get, and it's not that much. So, and you got to feed kids, and though you get more money for kids, but still, it is hard. But you have to at least get your foot in the door by having Social Security. I feel that way. So.
No, I think it's important, but we know when people were giving folks a hard time about having senior housing and why do they need this and why are they low income, and they worked all their life. And I had people come into the Berkeley Senior Center that were looking for senior housing because they were getting their Social Security, all $800 a month.
No, you can't live off of that. I mean, you just can't. You have to have roommates. You have to do this. You have to do that. And so, what is the problem? I mean, people act like, oh, they can't have these write-offs. Billionaires get plenty of write-offs. A lot of the people who took that COVID money to keep their business afloat, now they're saying, oh, you don't have to pay it back. How come they don't have to pay it back? I mean, it's like, we had discussed this earlier, so I won't get back on that soapbox, but you have a right to this, and you have a right to a lot more. We just got to get a lot more younger people in Congress.
On a kind of a different, I've got a much, a peculiar view of Social Security. I have a son who is, young, and he does have a mental illness, and he's on Social Security. And I was very upset about it. I didn't want it because I knew that he could, function and that he could find ways to take care of himself. How do I know this? Because I taught him. But they had these free attorneys, and they denied him initially because he, probably shouldn't have been qualified, but they have these free attorneys that worked to make that happen, and they told him just what to do. And, it worked, and he was pleased. But, he's under, he's 30 years old and locked into that non-livable wage.
Yes.
Thankfully for him, what it did is it just tied him into the system in all kind of ways that I couldn't explain to him when he was pondering this. So he's get the little check every month, and thankfully
it's not that much.
It's not, but thankfully, because they set it up for for folks to not reach their highest potential. Then they provided him with a subsidized place to live. And that helps you be able to stay steadily inconsequential for your entire life. I was very, very displeased, with it.
A lot of people can't see the long haul. They really can't.
And then as his mother, now I've got to start thinking about what am I going to do when it's time for me to deal with inheritance and when I, thinking about, intergenerational wealth transfer. They'll take all, if I did decide I wanted to leave, a house in San Francisco, Social Security gonna take theirs off of there, and it'll be all of it. So it impacts that part too, and people don't think about that part of it. So I have to do something to, to make sure that don't happen.
Put in a trust or something. No, that's true.
I got to figure
have
something
a lot
out.
of money.
I got to figure something out. I can't just let it go the natural way that one might have allowed it to go, unless I want to give the government a lot of money.
I don't know that much about it, but I would strongly recommend a good tax attorney or an attorney that specializes in that field that could advise you of that. And I'm sure
I'll find someone. I just keep saying, I don't need to worry about it. I'm going to live forever. It's not consequential until I die. So
that's what all your young
stick
people
around. Give me a few more years to work it out, please, God.
That's what all your young people say. Hey, it's come to 6:30. Dr. Geraldine Rita Taylor, you have done such an excellent job for us today. we would like to pick your brain on something else. If you're available down the schedule, because that was really informative. And I think as has been expressed, you know, young people need to see this, because the truth is we're not going to live forever. And a lot of times this applies directly to them right now. Thank you for sharing the Bible with us, that blue book, and giving us the link. The link is put in the chat for us. And also I put the flyer, Saraswati did another great flyer for next week. And we're going to be talking about moringa. That's one of the things we're going to be talking about. But this brother here, Christian Brown, he's a special food justice discussion is what we're going to have. And he's the founder of Creation of Society, and he'll supply us with information on nutritional staples that can serve to benefit members of the sickle cell community. And so we invite you back, and please share the flyer that we put in the chat so that we can let as many people as we can know. If you look at some of our videos, which we don't really advertise, you know, you'll see maybe like 30 views or something like that. But overall, we have 958 subscribers. And I thought, you know, like, okay, if you're a kid, that doesn't mean a lot. But I thought that was phenomenal. And we'd like to increase that, at least double that by the end of the year. So help us out, share that information. And in the weeks to come, we're going to focus on Ile Day on March 8th. And Brother Jahi Ayakoya is going to come and help us understand what's going on there at Ile Day. And then on March 22nd, we're going to be talking about financial literacy and wealth building. A brother by the name of David Fontaine wrote the Financial Literacy and Wealth Building Bible. My goodness. And rounding out the month, the end of the month, we're going to have Minister Amadi Haynes. Remember a couple of weeks ago, those of you that heard his message on Sunday, he's going to be talking about affirmative prayer and prayers of petition. So we're looking forward to all of those things. Glad you could join us. Thank you for helping us, those that are on the Black Knowledge Matters Committee. And we'll see you next time. Tomorrow, we're going to be meeting right here on this Zoom study of sacred scriptures, and we're going to be focusing on libation. So Shishim, we're doing this because this was one of the things that we discussed with you, and so that's coming up. Hope you all are doing well.
And Friday.
Thank you. First Fridays here at 6 o'clock. So come check us out. Tomorrow it's at 6 and Friday it's at 6 Pacific. Come check us out. All right. Thank you. Thank you for not letting me drop the ball on that.
Well, thank you for your attention. And I am going to write my congressman to see if they will pass estrogen vaginal cream, because you can't have, I mean, that's nonsense. There's more women than men, so let's get that on the formulary.
Brother Masanga Mbele said, thanks everyone, very informative. Brother, go ahead. If you wanted to say a word, you got the Abu symbol. Okay, you don't. All right. I see you have Abu symbol at night in the background. That's great. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Rita. It was great. All right. Thanks, Bill. All right.
Tomorrow.
Live up.
Everyone take care.
Good to be here.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Did you listen, bro?